Okay, Rose's mother said. I suppose I should start making arrangements. The first thing I'll need to do is call your school and tell them that you're sick and that you're not going to be in for a while. With the false health concerns that I've brought up, it should be pretty easy. Now, Rose, I'm going to need you to go pack a bag. Make sure that you have all the clothes that you need. And we should probably stop and get you some new ones, just in case. Well, just in case what? Rose replied. Well, it's often common in the bloom that the body go through changes. After all, it is part of your natural development. Your body is developing very rapidly. Now, this might not amount to very much physical change for the rest of your body, but then again, it is also common for some changes to occur. Mom, what changes are you talking about? Rose replied, starting to grow worried. I'm not gonna grow like a second head or something, am I? No, Rose, her mother replied. Don't be ridiculous. It's just possible that your flower bud might not be the only thing that blooms a bit. Other things might grow as well. Womanly things, if you get my meaning. Bloom is an intense period of change in a young woman's life. That all happens very rapidly. I'm hoping with your father's genetics that the changes might be more subtle. I would hate to have to take you out of school and put you into another one. Mom, how much change are we talking about here? Calm down, Rose, her mother replied. It's perfectly natural, at least with our people. The bloom is a passage into adulthood, and usually with our people, that change can be drastic. It differs from individual to individual, but after the bloom occurs, you could look older if it's pushed to the absolute maximum. The greatest difference that our people regularly experience. You could go from looking like yourself to, well, looking like an adult, somewhere in your 20s, rather than in your mid-teens. What? Rose replied, shocked. Calm down, Rose. Once again, you're still thinking like a human being, which, once again, I do have to take responsibility for. I should have told you. But it's also very possible that the changes will be limited, that perhaps you'll just grow a few inches and put on a few extra sizes in specific places, but still look much the same age. Mom, that's not much better. I mean, really, what are the other girls at school gonna think if I come back with a few extra cup sizes? They're gonna think that I went to a plastic surgeon. And from then on, I'm gonna be boob job girl. Calm down, Rose. As I said, as a last resort, we could switch you to a different school. Find a different place. But we'll see once your bloom is complete. There's no telling how much development that you'll undergo during the process. Remember, you are only half the same as me. So it's possible that your changes will be more slight and easier to pass off, as simply getting a growth spurt. I really hope so, Rose replied. Changing school would be such a pain, having to get to know new people. Well, look at it this way, Rose. Now that you're included and know all the details, you'll no longer have to pretend that you're ill or need medication. It'll be much easier to disguise any nutritional supplement that you have to take. You could just claim that it's a special protein mix or something like that. Honestly, it's not far from the truth. So, no more having to pretend to take medications. In fact, you might be able to claim that at your current school. Once all is said and done, claim that the rare nutritional defect was cured recently. That they came up with a treatment that effectively means you no longer have to take the medication. It's possible we could even work your growth spurt into it. Perhaps the process had side effects that included increased development. It seems a reasonable enough excuse. And it should make you fairly popular with the boys as well, her mother said, beginning to look up as if she was having a thought. Regardless, it's about time that we get ready to go. You go pack a bag and I'll start making calls. Okay, I guess so, Rose replied. And so, for the next few minutes, they did just that. Rose started packing, taking at least a week or so's worth of clothing. Meanwhile, her mother made the appropriate phone calls and packed for herself as well. Rose had a bit of a head start, so she was finished before her mother. As she finished, she exited the hallway to find that the King of Atlantis had made himself comfortable in the front room. Very comfortable, actually, Rose thought to herself as she stared at him, eating a sandwich that he had made, sitting on her sofa watching television. Well, haven't you just made yourself at home? Rose said. Yeah, well, I figure while I'm here, the man replied. I might as well take a few minutes to relax. I mean, me standing around or pacing isn't gonna make you guys pack any faster. Don't dwell on what you can't control. It'll only give you a headache. You know, in the rush of things, Rose replied, I never bothered asking you. King of Atlantis, what's your name? Oh, well, you can just call me Jax. Most of my friends do. My official name is actually Gabriel. Jax is more or less a secondary name. It's just my personal preference. But whenever I'm doing official things, I usually go by Gabriel. For whatever reason, people, regardless of how developed their society is, always like people to be more respectable in certain situations. It's stupid, but hey, people don't really change. You just gotta work with what you got. You know, I'd expect that if you were the king, that you'd have like servants or something, Rose asked. But it's just you and your daughter, right? She said, looking over to the blonde woman who was sitting on the couch beside him, and had taken the liberty of opening a bag of chips, and was snacking away. Sorry, but servants really aren't my thing, the man replied. Believe it or not, I've actually lived at both ends of the spectrum, from surviving on basically nothing to having a silver spoon in my mouth. And while yeah, I could probably have a bunch of lackeys around, catering to my every need, I just prefer to do things myself. All of that shoe shining really isn't my bag. I think it's a little degrading to the people doing it too. But there are advantages to being in charge of stuff. For example, I have an army. Not very many people get to say that they have their own personal army, he said, smiling before taking another bite into his sandwich. So, what's Atlantis like? I mean, my mom told me that it's actually on the moon? I mean, that's a pretty far stretch from the original story. How did that happen? The man replied, as he started to scratch his head, chewing through his sandwich, finishing the last of it. Well, it's a long story, and I'd rather not get into the details. And believe me, when I say long story, I mean it. But suffice to say, with the advanced level of technology that we possess, Sticking around on Earth was, well, hazardous to people. Originally, we were in the middle of the ocean, just like the legends suggest. But as society developed, it became more and more important to separate ourselves so that we wouldn't influence you. Let you develop naturally, not accelerate things by exposing you to radically advanced technology. So, we picked up and took the entire city to the moon. We figured it'd be a while before, well, human beings got out there. Everyone looks at the space landing in '69 as the first time human beings set foot on the moon, but the truth was we were already there. But shh, the man said, holding one finger up to his mouth. That can be our secret for the time being. I don't want people knowing just yet. So if you could, keep the whole Atlantis on the moon thing under your hat. Don't run around telling people. After all, I'm very busy. As I said, I have lots of things on my plate. Like really, you would not believe how many.